Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Cindy Athey and I'm a DOT qualified SAP. So one of my favorite parts of doing YouTube is reading the comments. And many of you ask really excellent questions. And usually if one person has that question, there's probably dozens of other drivers out there wondering the same exact thing, especially regarding the SAP process. So today I'm going to answer some of the most common questions I've recently received. So let's get started. Question number one is really good. It's, do I have to complete step 6 if I don't plan on returning to the trucking industry right now? It's probably one of the biggest misunderstandings regarding the SAP process. The answer is step 6 doesn't disappear, but if you're taking a break and you're not returning to a safety sensitive job right now, you're not going to be completing step 6 because step 6 happens after you return to safety sensitive duty. Think of it this way, step 5 is your return to duty test and step 6 is your follow-up testing plan while you're working a DOT safety sensitive position. If you decide to leave trucking or whatever safety sensitive job for like 6 months, a year, or perhaps even several years, that's your choice. But if you later decide to come back to a DOT safety sensitive job, you'll still need to complete the follow-up testing plan, and that's when that would start. Your employer will send you for those tests. So taking a break from trucking or whatever you're doing, safety sensitive wise, doesn't erase step 6. It just simply delays it until you're back in a DOT safety sensitive position. Question number 2, once I complete the SAP process, can I work a local driving job or does it have to be over the road? DOT doesn't care whether you're local, regional, over the road. The only thing that matters is that your employer is a DOT regulated employer and participates in the DOT drug and alcohol testing program, right? So I've worked with bus drivers, city bus drivers, waste management, local delivery drivers, construction companies, utilities, you name it. The follow-up testing requirements are the same regardless of whether you're driving like 20 miles a day or 2,000 miles a week or whatever. Question number 3, do I have to send proof of every follow-up test to my SAP? No. Your SAP doesn't get results from the follow-up testing plan. The employer maintains that record. The SAP doesn't even get notified of the return to duty test. The SAP works steps 1 through 4, right? And then the employer is responsible, or consortium, for steps 5 and 6, which is the return to duty test and the follow-up testing. So now the SAP will forward the follow-up testing paperwork with the follow-up testing plan to the employer after you sign and release the information form. Another great question, can I work another job while I'm going through the SAP process? Absolutely. Many people work non-DOT jobs while completing their education or treatment recommendations or while looking for a DOT employer. So you can work as a cashier, warehouse, office worker, construction, whatever, any non-DOT position. It does not interfere with your SAP process. In fact, many people do exactly that while they're getting everything completed. This is one I hear a lot. After step 5, am I allowed to drive again? Once you've completed or successfully completed your return to duty test, right? It's negative and your employer enters it into the clearinghouse. And if you've gotten a letter from DMV and you've gone down to your DMV and had your CDL reinstated and you're hired into a safety sensitive position, yes, you can return to work and driving. That's why it's called the return to duty test. Once you've returned to duty, that's when your step 6 follow-up testing starts. And one thing I always tell clients is not to think of step 5 as the finish line, because no, step 6 is a minimum of 1 year. It's between 1 and 5 years. The SAP creates the follow-up testing plan with a minimum of 6 follow-up tests in that first year back return to duty. So just think of it, it's really the beginning of proving that you're able to safely return to DOT safety sensitive work. Now, if this video has been helpful to you, feel free to give it a little thumbs up. That helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. I try to make videos every couple weeks to kind of answer questions, because I get questions about the SAP a lot, the SAP process, because it can be kind of confusing. So consider that if you like. And let's get back to it. Another question that I hear quite frequently is that people have called several SAPs, never get a call back, or they have a SAP, they paid the money, and the SAP doesn't get back to them. So remember, every SAP operates their own independent practice. And so I can't speak to how or why other SAPs aren't returning your phone calls. But I always encourage people to email the SAP because then there's like a paper trail. What I can tell you is this: if you're looking for a SAP and you've reached out several times without getting a response, don't feel like you have to wait indefinitely. Keep looking because a good SAP will call you back. There are many qualified SAPs across the country who work remotely, like that's what I do. And you deserve to work with someone who's committed to you to get you through this return to duty process. Not just get the fee and put you on the back burner. I know this process is really overwhelming, and the last thing you need is wondering if someone's going to call you back and answer your question. Communication matters. It's very important to me in my own practice. That's why the drivers I work with or safety sensitive employees I work with, I let them text, email, call, and I make it a priority to return their inquiries or questions within a business day, or I try to most of the time. And if you're paying for a professional service like the SAP, it's reasonable to expect a return call or an answer to your emails and keep you informed throughout the process. Let's say you've assigned the SAP in the clearinghouse, you met with them for the assessment. It's really hard to change SAPs at that point, so you're kind of stuck with the person. That's why I strongly encourage you, if you need a DOT qualified SAP, take your time on the front end before you hire people. Don't go with the cheapest one. Don't go with, the flashy things. Don't trust Google reviews, because I'm telling you, most ethical providers don't have Google reviews. Like if you Google me, there's no reviews on there. And you know why? Because I don't ask for them. I don't want them. It's a breach of confidentiality because it would identify someone as being involved with the SAP process. And if you're in a DOT safety sensitive position, people know what the SAP process is for. So no. If they have a bunch of reviews on their website, pass them up. I would consider continuing to check around. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out. You can drop it in a comment, email me, whatever, and I'll try to answer your questions the best I can. And I hope this video was helpful, so consider subscribing again. And as well, down in the description box, I've linked my link tree, and over there's a lot of resources, free and paid things that can help you answer some of these questions that you may have. And until next time, thank you for watching and take care.